It's October 27th, and the strange side of history awaits. Today we have a phantom killer's last strike, a storm that erased entire islands, and a Cold War trigger. Let's begin. On October 27th, 1919, the people of New Orleans woke to a sound of fear echoing through the city's narrow streets one last time. Another body, another axe, another night of terror. For nearly 2 years, the phantom killer had haunted the city, creeping through the locked doors, choosing homes at random, striking while his victims slept. The newspapers called him the Axeman of New Orleans, and the city lived in dread of his shadow. But this attack was different. It would be his last. The victim was a grocer named Mike Pepiteau, was found in his home, surrounded by blood and chaos. His wife said she saw 2 shapes fleeing into the night, but no one ever found them. There was no fingerprints, no footprints, nothing but the echoes of the axe and the door left swinging in the wind. And then, silence. After October 27th, the Axeman simply vanished. No confessions, no bodies, no clues. Did he die? Did he move away? Or was he someone powerful enough to be protected, hidden behind the walls of the very city he terrorized? The killing stopped, but the legend didn't. Even now, some say when jazz plays deep in the humid nights of New Orleans, the Axeman's spirit listens, waiting for the music to end. Some say the Axeman vanished into legend, but the city's built on ghosts and rhythm, so maybe that's the same thing. On October 27th, 1867, the sea began to move in a way that no sailor could explain. Far east of the Caribbean, in the quiet waters beyond Lesser Antilles, a tropical storm was forming, slow and silent, and wrong. It wasn't hurricane season, and it wasn't following the usual path. This one came from the northwest, the direction no one had ever seen before. Over the next 2 days, the skies turned black. By October 29th, the storm had become a monster, and what history would later call the San Narciso hurricane. When it struck the Danish West Indies, now the USA Virgin Islands, it erased entire towns in a single night. In St. Thomas, ships were torn from the mooring and hurled into the streets. Churches crumbled, and winds screamed like the living thing. Roofs ripped away, waves taller than houses, and then silence. For half an hour, eyes passed over this island. Survivors stepped out, dazed, believing it was over. But then, the second wall of the storm struck. Harder, louder, and final. When dawn came, the islands were unrecognizable. Over 800 people were dead, thousands missing. Bodies found in trees, ships stranded miles inland. One mail steamer, the Principe Alfonso, escaped by hours, its crew watching the horizon darken behind it as they sailed away. The storm left no photos, only stories whispered by those who lived. And on that night, the sea itself seemed to be alive and hungry. They say the sea was quiet the morning after. Maybe it was satisfied. On October 27th, 1962, a single blip on a radar screen seen high above the Caribbean Sea. It was Major Rudolf Anderson Jr. flying a U-2 spy plane over Cuba, capturing photos of the Soviet missile sites hidden deep in the jungle. He didn't know it, but at that exact moment, the world was seconds away from nuclear war. 12 days earlier, the U.S. intelligence had discovered Soviet nuclear missiles in Cuba, pointed directly at American cities. Both nations stood on the edge of annihilation, every move watched, every single interpretation as a possible strike. As Anderson's plane crossed over Cuba, a Soviet commander, without direct orders from Moscow, made a fateful decision. He fired. A surface-to-air missile sliced through the air, striking Anderson's jet 70,000 feet above the earth. There was no parachute, no mayday call, just silence and a falling trail of debris. In Washington, panic followed. The president's advisors urged retaliation, an invasion, and maybe a nuclear response, but somehow, restraint won. And just like that, one man's death saved millions. The Cuban Missile Crisis ended days later, the closest the world had ever come to its own destruction. A single missile ended one man's flight and somehow saved everyone else's tomorrow. They call it the moment when the world held its breath, and maybe we still haven't exhaled. Another day, another strange bite from history. Like, comment, and subscribe. Your next eerie dose is just a day away.